You believe you're disciplined, but you've been postponing that thing for 3 weeks. You believe you're honest, but there are things you've let people believe that aren't true. You care about your health, but you know what you ate at 11 p.m. last night. These mechanical contradictions represent a glitch in human self-perception. Holding two opposing concepts in the mind creates a state of significant psychological discomfort. To eliminate this tension, the brain ignores the obvious solution, changing the behavior through action. Instead, the brain retroactively rewrites the story until the contradiction disappears. Leon Festinger termed this process cognitive dissonance. This mechanism runs in the background of almost every decision you make. Understanding this hidden algorithm makes it impossible to view your own justifications with the same level of trust. Mid-century smokers provide a clear historical window into the mechanics of denial. They functioned while holding two clashing facts: I am a rational person who wants to live, and I am actively inhaling a known carcinogen. Every cigarette lit created a fresh wave of psychological friction. When confronted with evidence that the habit was lethal, such as public health data showing their own doctors were quitting en masse, the brain searched for an external rationalization to allow the behavior to continue. Smokers survived the tension through minimization, convincing themselves the science was unsettled or that they would quit before any real damage occurred. Cognitive dissonance functions as a homeostatic drive, forcing our self-image and reality back into equilibrium, regardless of the cost to logic. Festinger proved the power of this drive in 1959 at Stanford University. He forced participants to perform an agonizingly boring task for 1 hour. After the task, they were asked to lie to the next participant and describe the experience as enjoyable. The researchers pay half the group $20 to lie. The other half received only $1. When interviewed weeks later, the $20 group correctly remembered the task as tedious. The large payment provided sufficient external justification for the lie, leaving their internal reality undisturbed. The $1 group reported that the task was actually interesting. This group lacked the external justification to lie for a single dollar, creating a state of internal conflict. To resolve the tension of being an honest person who just lied for almost nothing, their brains altered their memory of the task to make the lie true. This illustrates that the brain will edit its own record of events to protect the individual's sense of integrity. When external rewards are insufficient to justify our actions, the brain shifts our internal reality to maintain the illusion of consistency. Psychologists Carol Tavris and Tavris Aronson describe the mind as an automated defense attorney. We are constantly building a legal case for our own competence. This internal attorney employs 3 specific algorithms to rewrite history after a failure. Minimization shrinks the scale of a mistake. We tell ourselves a missed deadline wasn't a significant problem, or that no one truly noticed the error. Attribution shift moves the blame. We explain away a lack of progress by pointing to vague instructions or a difficult environment. Post hoc rationalization rewrites our original intent. After being rejected for a promotion, the brain decides the new role would have been too stressful anyway. These algorithms operate below the level of conscious awareness, making the edited version of events feel like the objective truth. The ego curates memory into a public relations document designed to protect your identity from the discomfort of failure. Dissonance is an automatic drive to resolve contradiction, but we can direct this tension toward growth. We can install artificial contradictions to trigger behavior change. This is the mechanism behind identity-based habit change. If you adopt the belief, I am someone who exercises every day, you create a commitment that the brain must defend. While the internal defense attorney usually rationalizes past failures, it struggles to ignore a present identity that is repeatedly reinforced. On a day you skip the gym, the gap between your identity and your action creates a constant state of friction that rationalization cannot fully soothe. Because the brain seeks the path of least resistance to resolve this tension, it becomes easier to perform the exercise than to sit with the discomfort of the contradiction. This process turns psychological discomfort into a mechanical drive for daily action. To go deeper into the psychology of high performance, subscribe to Growth Systems Daily for our latest deep dives. To apply the Deliberate Dissonance Method, select one specific behavior you want to change. Write an identity statement beginning with, "I am someone who," that is currently only partially true. Read this statement every morning to consciously highlight the gap between your words and your current reality. This manufactured gap pressures the brain to align your behavior with the new story you have committed to. Internal conflict signals that your brain is working exactly as designed, building the story that keeps you consistent with your self-image. Change the story first. The behavior follows.